Hello, I'm MrTieDye, and today we're going to do the sunflower design. I've had several requests for it, so it's time to do one up. So what I have here is a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out, so it's just barely damp right now. And then I centered the T by poking one T inside of, or one sleeve inside of the other. So I have the front of the T and the back of the T separate here. And that's going to be kind of important in the dyeing process, how the saturation works out. So I do have a video on centering. I'll put a link in the description down below. So first, to get started here, is I've marked off some lines here. I plan on doing a 12-inch sunflower. Actually, it'll be probably just a little bit bigger, but I marked out lines. Since we're doing a half circle, I marked out 6 inches, and then I marked out 3 inches. That'll be the center of the sunflower. So, and then my favorite way to draw a line is just with a string and a thread, or a string and a pin, if I could talk this morning. So what I'm going to do is put my finger here on the center. This here is going to be the center of the sunflower. I already marked that out. And then I'm going to line my pin up with this outer mark. This here is my 12-inch mark. So I'm going to draw my half circle on. And this here is just a washable marker. And I am working on the inside of the t-shirt. Every now and then I have a washable marker that does not wash all the way out. So I always work on the inside of the t-shirt. That way, if you do have a stray mark, it's going to be on the inside instead of on the outside. So here's my inner circle for the sunflower. Okay. Now if we can get this pin off of here, put that aside. And then for the sunflower, it's just a basic accordion fold, so we're just going to do that. I do maybe 3/4 of an inch thick there. And I'm just going to line all of these lines up right on top here, nice and straight. I start with the outer circle. The inner circle is almost going to fold itself. I'll have to straighten those lines up a little bit, but sometimes it's nice to have double duty going on. And once I get this outer circle, then the inner circle will be just about ready to go too. Okay. Now you can see this inner circle is just about lined up. So I'm going to tie this first one, and then I'll straighten these lines out, and then I will tie that one up too. So usually what I'll do is I'll just wrap that around a few times. I don't need to tie it because I still left this tied up here. And then I'm going to scrunch this center here. And usually what I'll do, just to give a little bit more texture in that middle, is I'll separate the front from the back here and then kind of re-scrunch them together. And that's just going to make the dye flow a little bit differently on the front and the back. And sometimes it creates interesting patterning. Not always, but sometimes. So I like to give the universe every opportunity to play a part in my tie-dyes. Alright, so there is the sunflower. This here is the outer part, the yellow petals, and this is the inner part, and then we'll dye the rest of it in greens. So stay tuned and we'll be back soon. Okay, we're back to dye the sunflower. So to start with, I'm going to dye the center of the sunflower. I'm going to use a bronze on that, kind of a light brown, and then I'm going to go over top of that with a darker brown just to give me a little bit of texture in the center of the sunflower. And then we're going to use two different colors of yellow on the sunflower itself. So let's go with the bright yellow on one side here. I'm going to color right up to that line. And then we're going to come right up to this other line here. And that'll be a little bit different than what we do on the back side. So these are going to be the petals on our sunflower. And what I'm going to do is flip this over. And now on the back side, I'm going to use a darker yellow. But this time, instead of going right up to the line, I'm going to go just a little bit over the line. And what that's going to do is give me just a little bit of difference in my petals. So I'm going to have my light petals, yellow petals here, and my darker yellow petals will stick out just a little bit further like a sunflower does. So that's how I like to do my sunflowers, just to try to give a little bit of separation between the petals. And then of course the different colors of the yellow. Yellow and the gold, or I think this is daffodil. That gives a nice separation for making the petals also. And then we'll put some bronze on here. And then what I like to do is soak up some of that excess dye. So I'll put a rag on there and just give it just a squeeze there. And what that does, it pushes some of that bronze dye further in to the center of the sunflower here, but it also takes some of the excess out. So now I can add a little bit of dark brown over top without it getting too sloppy. And I just coat just a little bit. I don't saturate it completely. I just like a little bit on there just to give me a little bit of texture there in the middle. So we'll do the same thing on this other side. And then another thing that you can do, if you want to add even more texture in, if you had a third color of yellow, you could paint just a little bit on to this side here, the brighter yellow, just a little bit darker yellow. I don't happen to have one right now, but that's something I have done. I've used three yellows. One, a light yellow, a dark yellow, and then a little bit of a dark yellow over top here. So I just like to experiment, so I'm just kind of putting that out there if you guys want to play around with three colors, but you do have to watch how much dye, otherwise you're going to have a sloppy mess. So as you experiment, you might need to soak up some of the dye like I just did there. And now around the sunflower, we're going to put a bright green. So on this side, of course, I'm putting it right up to the line. And then we're going to sprinkle a little bit of that all through the shirt here. So I just kind of randomly color just to give myself a little bit of the bright green within the whole t-shirt. And then we're going to color the whole thing with our dark green. Okay, and there is the sunflower. I'll have the results here in just a few seconds for you. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to let it batch up for 48 hours, and then I'll wash it, and then the results will be at the end of this video. Thank you for watching.